Hey, lightning biologists, thanks for taking the challenge and doing the extension. These are actually can be really fun problems, but they are a little bit time consuming. And so this is going to be an explanation and setting up, getting you started on the dihybrid problems. I'm going to work through two of the problems and then kind of turn you loose. But I throw a few curveballs in there. There's a few unique things later on, and so I will also make sure I post a key. But let's get started. A dihybrid problem, and so when we're talking about dihybrid, di means two, and hybrid is just the different traits. And so when we talk about a dihybrid, what we're actually talking about are we are looking at two traits at the same time. Now, please recall that Mendel we talked about the law of segregation. That's what happens in meiosis when the two alleles segregate from each other in a parent cell to produce haploid gametes. But then we also talked about the law of independent assortment. And independent assortment is basically what we're going to be looking at here, in how when you have two traits, the alleles for those two traits, they separate independent of each other. Now there are some exceptions. For example, individuals who have red hair typically also have freckles. The reason that happens is because those alleles happen to be on the same chromosome, very close together. And so when that parent cell is going through meiosis and producing sex cells, because those two genes are so closely connected on one chromosome, they often get passed along together. And so, but the traits that we're going to be looking at with these dihybrid problems are not. For example, in the first one, we'll just jump right in. We're going to cross a black long-haired mouse with a white short-haired mouse. And so when we're doing this, I add on to my key a little bit. And so I obviously am always going to start with my key. And then I'm going to look at my trait 1 and my trait 2, because I'm looking at two separate traits here. All right? So trait 1 is black hair versus white hair. And so black hair and white hair. And then the hair can also be long or it could be short. And so that's a separate trait, the length of the hair versus the color of the hair. So those are the two traits, dihybrid, the two traits that we're going to be looking at. And so you're going to cross a black long-haired mouse with a white short-haired mouse. Black coat color and long hair are dominant. And so we'll give the big B for black, and meaning white would be homozygous recessive. And then long hair is also dominant, and so will be the big L will be long, and the little L's can be for short hair. All right, our cross then in this case is a black long-haired. So, oops, my pen's not working. So the black long hair is homozygous or pure, and so we would write that as big B, so it's homozygous dominant black, and then homozygous dominant for long. We have to give them two alleles for each trait, and make sure you keep the alleles together for each trait. So you don't ever want to write it BL, BL. That will get you very, very confused when we go to put this together. So always you are writing it, so it's almost like a math problem. Okay, we're going to take this trait and we're going to look at that trait. And in just a minute, I'm going to FOIL this so it is going to become a math problem. And so this is going to be crossed with a white-haired. So little b, short hair. Little l, little l. All right. So now I have my key and I have my cross. So what is the phenotypic ratio for the F2? Oh, goodness. This is my parent. Parents produce an F1. And the reason this is F2 here is because the F1 is really simple. We don't have to set up anything, any type of square for the F1s. All we have to do is look at this parent. What can this parent provide? It can only give a big B. What can this parent give for the B? Well, it can only give a little b. And so every offspring is going to be heterozygous, black hair. What can this parent give for hair length? It can only give the big L. What can this parent give for hair length? It can only give the little l. And so the F1s are going to be 100% heterozygous, black, long-haired mice. The F2s then are when you take two of the F1s and you cross them together. And so the F2 is going to be where you take heterozygous black, heterozygous long, and cross it to a heterozygous black, heterozygous long. Now we have lots of possibilities. And this is where we're going to foil the alleles that the parent has in order to determine what gametes could these parents pass on. And if you remember FOIL, FOIL is F-O-I-L. So the F stands for first. So if you look at this as two separate, the two separate traits that it is, right? You're going to have the trait for hair color, and then you have the trait for hair length. Those are two separate traits. And when the parent produces gametes, they have to pass on one allele of each gene. So we're going to FOIL it. This parent could give the first allele of each of the two. So the first allele would be the big B and the big L. So it could give big B, big L. That could be one possibility. It could give the outside. That would be the big B with the little l. So the big B could line up with the little l. That's another possibility that could end up in the gamete. It could do the inside. The little b with the big L. Now notice I'm going to keep the B trait first. I always want to keep whatever trait I started with, keep it first. And little b, big L. Or it could be the last. So little b, little l. So there are 4 different options each of these parents can pass on to their offspring. And so unlike a monohybrid cross, a dihybrid cross actually results in a 16 square Punnett square. So each parent is the same. And so we're going to go up here, and I'm going to attempt to make it fit in here. I might have to reduce my number down, or my size down a little bit. So one parent could give big B, big L, big B, little l, little b, big L, little b, little l. All right? There's one possibility of gametes. The other parent could also give big B, big L, the big B with little l, the little b with the big L, or the little b, little l. So now we have to actually make a 16 square Punnett square. When you fill these in, remember to keep the alleles for a given trait together. So we're going to start right here. This one could give the big B. This one gives the big B. This one gives a big L. This one gives a big L. We move over. Big B, big B, big L, little l. Notice I put the dominant first. If there's a dominant allele for a trait, I would always post that first. I'm going to continue. Big B, little b. The L's are both going to be big L's. Big B, big L, little l. All right, go ahead and fill them all in. I'm going to pause for a second and then I'll have the answer filled in just a moment. Voila! I have the 16 square Punnett square filled in. And so now I go back to the question and it's asking, what is the phenotype ratio? So phenotype ratios. Well, I have to think about what are the possible physical traits that any of these offspring could have. And I go back to my key right here and I look at the combinations. And so I could end up with individuals that have black long hair. So that means they have to have at least one big B and one big L. I could end up with individuals that have black short hair. I could end up with individuals with white long hair. And I could end up with individuals who are homozygous recessive for both traits, and they would be white short hair. Okay? So now what I do is I go to my Punnett square and I literally just count. So if I have black long, it has to have at least one big B and one big L. So I'm going to go through here. There's big B, big L, big B, big L, big B, big L. Big B, big L. That one has two little L's, so that one doesn't work. Big B, big L. That one has two little L's. Big B, big L. Big B, big L. No, no. Yes. No, no, no. All right. So then I count them up, and my number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to have 9 black long. And for every 9 black long mice I get, let's go ahead and look at what we get for black short. A black short would have to have at least one big B, but they cannot have a uppercase L. So that one's going to be black and short. That one will be black and short. And this one right here will be black and short. And so I'm going to have, for every 9 black long, I'm going to have 3 black short. Let's pull up another color here. We'll do we'll do white, not that. Undo it. Get the highlighter going. There we go. Sorry about that. We'll do white long. White long is going to have little b, but it has to have a big L. So here's a white long, here's a white long, and here's a white long. And so I'm going to have 3 white long. And then last, but definitely not least, I'm going to have my white short. That is homozygous recessive and both. And you have white short right there. And so I will have just 1. And so my phenotypic ratio will be 9 black long to 3 black short to 3 white long to 1 white short. And I write that as a 9 to 3 to 3 to 1, going from most dominant to most recessive. And that is my phenotypic ratio.